Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Turner Lean Webinar Series, the sixth session, Digital Lean. Our guests are Rafael and Tom. They are from US and they are from Bosch Tools Construction. And they are both going to talk about the technology tools of Lean, especially in last planner system. I don't want to take so much time. So Rafael and Tom, could you please talk about yourself and could you please start the presentation? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. So my name is Tom Richert. I'm with a firm called Rising Terrain. We do coaching in lean construction, including the design phase. That's our focus. And I've been involved in lean construction and design for more than 20 years now. So it's a lot of fun. And I've also had the privilege of working with a few Turner projects here in the US. So I'm really happy to be here today.
Thank you. And hello, everyone. Ian, Akshanlar. I'm Rafael, working for Bosch here, construction technology in the US, and head of the Bosch RefinemySite, which is a digital lean collaboration platform. We've been working with over 450 projects already globally, Europe and US, and happy to discuss this topic and about lean construction, last planner system, and how technology as well can be a very important part of it to build more team collaboration and getting work way implemented much easier when you start using technology as well. So happy to be here. Thank you everyone for joining.
Yeah, so we're really going to focus a lot on how the digital application lean is, but first just really talk about the challenges that we have in this industry. And I doubt any of this is new to anybody watching this webinar here. But if you look at it, a lot of the issues around work in general and construction and design specifically is about how we communicate with each other. So any set of practices and any set of tools that help us communicate more clearly with each other are going to help our work. And in fact, really, if you look at all those other items underneath communication, they're really somewhat related to communication in one way or the other. Last planner system and lean in general, those practices are really designed to help us all coordinate work better. And certainly, to the degree we can engage with digital technologies to improve that, we'll want to. So today, a quick introduction to lean. I know several people here have already are familiar with it, so we'll be somewhat brief in that. We'll talk about the last planner system. We'll just touch on it enough to show how that relates to digital lean and working with the Bosch or RefinemySite. And then we'll have time for questions and answers, of course, as well. So we look forward to making this a discussion. And if you think about it, and these are US numbers, so you can translate that into numbers in other countries, but roughly the US construction market is a $1 billion US market. And if we could be efficient enough to save 10%, we're talking about eliminating $100 billion worth of waste. And I've worked on and coached teams that have actually reduced their budgets by more than 20%. So that 10% number is not unrealistic at all. Right. But it was through the application of lean in both the design and construction phases. So for anybody who might be a little bit new to lean, it's not simply cutting out the fat and cutting away all the fat. There's a lot about removing waste that's part of lean, but it's more than that. It's not simply a set of tools, although we use a lot of tools to help us work in a lean way. It's not easy. All right. So there's a lot of rigor towards this, and that's if you hear about lean failing, it's not about the practices itself. It's really about the lack of rigor around applying these practices. It's no different than, say, sports or music, where you have to constantly practice to be good. It's not pull planning. Pull planning gets a lot of visibility. It's a lot of fun for people. You see Post-it notes up on a wall. It's really enjoyable for a lot of people, but that's just a small part of the last planner system. It's not an acronym. You'll often see people capitalize it as if it stands for something. It's the word itself really was chosen because it referred to being able to do work in less time with less waste, less resources, less accidents, less quality defects. So that the people that devised and coined the word lean, that's why, but the lean word was chosen. And then in construction, the people that were working in productivity and construction, separate from lean in Toyota, which is where the word lean came from, a study of the Toyota production system. The people working already in construction productivity adopted the term because there were a lot of things they saw there that were very similar to the things that they were already doing in the field with construction teams. And it's far from a single process. There's a lot to lean to know. And I mentioned I've been doing this for more than 2 decades, and I'm still learning. So that's part of the fun about lean too. You don't get bored if you really want to explore, how to work with other people better. The key words you'll often hear about lean, the foundation of lean or the pillars of lean: continuous improvement and respect for people. And it's about delivering value to customers. I would also extend that to all stakeholders. So we're trying to increase the value of work to the people on the team. So you that are managing the team, or you that people that are trade contractors, the architects, the engineers, it's everybody involved in the work. We want to increase the value of that work for. There is a business case for lean. So this was a study done across 162 projects. Consistent owners that built a lot of projects were surveyed. A number of them had both projects that had used a lot of lean practices, so they called them lean intensive projects, and they had other projects that were more traditional in the way they were managed. And as you can see, projects that had high lean intensity were 3 times likely to finish ahead of schedule and twice as likely to complete under budget. And that's certainly been my observation and experience as well. Those projects that embrace lean have and see significant increases in productivity. Not shown in that graph is that a lot of people that when they apply lean in a really diligent way also enjoy working with their other team members too. And a lot of them come away saying, I don't want to work any other way, because not only did the project go more smoothly, we finished easily on time and under budget, but we all parted the project friends and we really enjoyed it. So there are other reasons for applying lean besides schedule and budget that are important. These are some practices that you will come across in construction using lean. I'm just going to list them here, and you'll be able to get a copy of this presentation. So we could do a webinar on each and every one of these here. Mm-hmm. So if you come across these terms, they're part of what have been developed to support lean in design and construction. The last planner system, though we'll talk a little bit more about, because the Bosch RefinemySite really really locked into how to digitize that practice. And just want to make the point here that last planner system and lean construction has been used worldwide on all kinds of projects. So this is from a project I was in at 2 years ago now, down in the southern part of Brazil. We've used the last planner on copper mines, on infrastructure projects, airports, hotels, hospitals, in all different countries. So, this is really a practice that's been adapted a lot of different places and it has succeeded. So it's something that, it's really about how do people work together in a way where they're communicating more clearly. And we're also tapping the intelligence of everybody on the project in a way that's richer. So the biggest question I get a lot of times when I come on work with a new team is, how do I get all these other people to buy into lean, right? So and sometimes it's like, I think the hidden question is, well, why should I buy into lean too, right? So and we spend a lot of time helping people understand why they should commit to working in this way. And a lot of it is also really talking about the cultural aspects of lean that are oftentimes overlooked or ignored. Lean itself was developed both in construction and at Toyota with a mindset of, we want to share in the leadership of the project work and the project planning and execution with the people that are actually doing the work, because by doing the work, they learn the most about the work and understand it the best. And so our planning ought to take that understanding and that expertise and that intelligence into account. And so how do we develop practices that allow us to bring in that sort of shared intelligence of everybody on the project? But engaging people in that way of thinking does take some time, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done just in terms of what some people here call team building. But I think it's even deeper than that. It's really about creating what I call a shared leadership culture. So as much time needs to be spent on that as learning the actual technical practices of lean, whether they're last planner or other practices. And so, leading into that, I just point in the case of Toyota, those statements up there were called the 5 precepts, or really principles, on which the company was founded in 1935. And you can see in terms of words like, always be practical and avoid frivolousness. You can see that that's probably really related to this idea of eliminating or not having waste. And above that, always be studious and creative and stay ahead of the times, innovative. But you can see here there's a strong emphasis on contributing to some other group of people, in this case, their country. So think of the context of this company. It was created in 1935, Japan, the very early years of its industrialization, at a time when a lot of people in the agrarian culture there were impoverished. And that's where the Toyota family came from, that agrarian area. So they had a really deep commitment to really helping the people in that area have a better life. And this idea of respect and gratitude and living together in what they call home-like atmosphere, in other words, treating each other as brothers and sisters, was a very important concept. And I believe that this idea of what a company is why lean started at a company like Toyota and not other Japanese companies. Here we talk about lean as being a transition from really pushing work on people to allowing people to pull work from each other. And that's a different mindset. So you can see those qualities on the right of cooperation, trust, respect, understanding, and learning. Those they resonate with those Toyota principles in terms of how people work together as a community. But we have this history in construction too. So the person kneeling on the far left is Greg Howell. He's one of the co-inventors of the last planner system and the co-founders of the Lean Construction Institute. Greg's first planning experience was in the military. He was part of what was called a mobile construction battalion unit. And so from construction battalion, they called themselves the CBs. And Greg would tell a story throughout his life about a commanding officer and how that commanding officer would have them plan. And that officer would invite them into the planning room, oftentimes a tent. He'd have a bowl in the center of the table, and he'd have everybody take off their rank insignias off their uniforms and put that insignia in the bowl. The point being, when it comes to planning work, we're all equal. It doesn't matter what your rank is, what your experience is. We want to hear what you think about the plan, because that's the only way we're going to make the best plan possible. And Greg really, I mean, that was very impactful for him. So this idea that when it comes to planning work, everybody has an equal voice as far as creating ideas and putting them out there and uncovering things that might not be seen by others on the team that are in a traditional sense at a higher rank. That's all very important. And so that quote there, when Greg talks about bringing power to the edge, he means the workforce. You know, the edge is where the work actually happens. So we want to tap that intelligence of those people. So some really brief history of the last planner system. It was in the around 1980 actually that Greg met Glenn Ballard, and they were tasked with saving a project. It was over budget and behind schedule, and that's where they started developing what at the time they called crew level planning, this weekly work planning, this committing to work based on what actually could be done, and the plan being developed by the foreman, who ultimately they called the last planners, because sometimes the title might have been superintendent or some other name, right? So they wanted to be very generic, so they said last planner. You know, they found they picked up right away a close to a 20% increase in productivity by just doing that alone, by allowing people to only commit and focus on work they knew they could actually finish, rather than try to do a little work here because it's on the master schedule and then have to shift somewhere else. So over the years, they developed the last planner system. They started with weekly planning and the daily check-ins. They later added look-ahead planning, and then ultimately added pull planning for the phases, so that this all came together as a system. But that took the better part of a decade, really, before all of that came together. And so it's important to know that, you know, a couple things. One, last planner system was developed through trial and error in the field with people in construction. So it wasn't invented in some academic sense. It was also created specifically for the construction industry. It wasn't, hey, Toyota has some great ideas, we're going to go try to make them work for construction. It was independent of that altogether. It just happened to use some of the same principles of trying to create flow, trying to be clear about what work was going to be done, commit to the work, and then have rapid feedback, daily huddles, so that we can make adjustments, because, you know, none of us are going to predict everything that's going to happen, and we need to be able to adjust. You know, this is, you probably saw the bubble diagram before the last planner system if you've been exposed to it. This is just another way of looking at it. There are certain things that we decide what we should do in terms of, you know, we create a master plan and we create a phase plan. So phase being like the structure of the building or the rough-in of the building. It might even be a chronological phase, but it's a cohesive, good-sized unit of work. And that's oftentimes where you see pull planning come in. So that's how we decide what we should do. And then the make ready process, looking ahead 6 to 8 weeks and deciding, you know, can we make this work that's coming up in the next 6 weeks ready? What do we have to do to make sure we can start and finish it? And then the weekly work planning. That's where we make commitments to getting work done, and then daily reviewing that and checking. And the meat of the system, while pull planning, which is in that sort of should phase level, gets a lot of attention, the meat of the last planner system is really making work ready, committing on a weekly basis to specific work, and checking in daily to see what adjustments we have to make. Because, you know, even on a short term, our best plans can go awry. Things will happen that we can't control and we need to adjust for. So I just want to show this. This is, I want to show it's a tack time workflow. So it's one of the things that we also try to do, and the last planner system can facilitate this kind of planning. I wanted to show this in part because this came from a Turner project in Cleveland. It was a cancer center project, and the team pulled an area. So a typical area like 5A on the plan, and they said, this is the sequence of work that it's going to take to complete that area. And we're going to repeat that sequence of work in all these other areas of the building. So this is rough in and finishes. And so they worked to select areas that were roughly equivalent in size, and they gave themselves a 1-week beat in order to get that work done. So framing in 5A, for example, had a week, and then they had to move on to 5B. And the next week, you would have electrical rough-in working in 5A. And they kept, each team was responsible for being able to keep pace. So, that's the kind of thing you can do with the last planner system, and the kind of thing you can do with RefinemySite as well.
Yeah, go ahead, Tom, you can continue.
Yeah, so no, just, again, this is taking a look at the industry. A lot of people have looked at it, and a lot of these statistics come from some U.S. studies by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. But there's a general finding that construction productivity lags that of other industries. Whether or not that's exactly true, there's certainly a lot we can do to make the industry more productive. And that's where I think Lean will help, and last planner system certainly is a significant tool in helping with that.
And we can move on to the next slide. So again, action lad, everyone. This is Rafael from Bosch, and then I'm gonna jump into the topic about digital. But before we start to talk about technology and innovation into lean construction and the last planner system, or technology overall in the industry, I believe that the perception that people have as those three parts as businesses, people, and technology, they should be equal. But in reality, as Tom mentioned, specifically when applying lean as well, it's really focused on people first, then process, and technology will definitely be extremely helpful, but it is a catalyst for the change as well. You can move on to the next one. So a little bit about RefinemySite, as we're here, definitely helps we're going to show you a live demo about our product as well, but we want to bridge this gap between team and lean, and how to increase and get better or optimize collaboration on the job site, and take all our administrative burden that might have as well when implementing your lean practices and on your projects. You can move on, Ton. So pretty much, just in a nutshell, it's a cloud-based construction collaboration platform that applies the lean principles and goes all the way from construction site managers, management, all the way to the trade contractors. You're gonna see that we can plan, communicate, and execute in real time. Unlimited users on the platform, unlimited projects as well. And we work very closely using the last planner system process that is Inspire, and then you're going to see how easy it is to use as well. And the experience that we're getting here, over 450 projects already using RefinemySite. It really empowers your team to build trust and create this culture, team culture of responsibility, and also enhance the communication with everyone. So yeah, we're part of Bosch. Very quick, you're probably familiar with us as well. Large global company, privately held, and RefinemySite is part of the Bosch Power Tools division as well. So go to the next one, Ton. We have over 100 years heritage in construction. Mostly, Bosch here is, we're all here from construction, so you all probably use your Bosch Power Tools. I hope you use Bosch Power Tools on your job site, on your projects. And RefinemySite is part of the Bosch Power Tools division in construction technology. So you're definitely familiar with this. This is great if you're already on the right path of using Lean and implementing Lean practices on your job site, on your projects. If you're not, that's the direction where our industry is heading to. So really, you have to start using and applying Lean. That's an incredible, huge benefit you're gonna see, as Tom already mentioned. And the next step would be, how can we digitize this process? That's how we started when we started RefinemySite, is how can we help and digitize the processes where how can we make it easier for everyone on the job site? How can we increase collaboration, communication, and not having everything on the sticky notes on a limited space as well on the job site? So that's how RefinemySite really started. So Lean, Ton mentioned already, started on manufacturing, but also there is a very great study from Boston Consulting Group, BCG, related to the benefits you can get by not only implementing Lean. So you, Ton and I, we're gonna talk and show you the percent plan complete, which is the commitments that each trade make on their task, but also we're implementing Lean, but also where the benefits you get as well. You can increase your percent plan complete by introducing Lean. So this is not a revolution. I believe revolution in construction started when Lean started, when Lean was initiated. This is an evolution of Lean as well. So applying digital methods, applying technology into construction methods, into Lean, it's an evolution. We can move on. So basically, we're going to digitize the workflow. You're going to see all the collaborative planning, the work assignment, all the documentation notification, and the workflow analysis, everything on the digital format, and most importantly, in a very simple and easy way to use. That's key for us. Otherwise, the last planners, they need to embrace it. They need to use it. So we're really focused on making it extremely easy and intuitive to everyone. So RefinemySite, again, we're gonna go through in details on a live demo for you in a few minutes. We can move on to the next one, Tom. The goal we have with Bosch RefinemySite is to create this Lean collaboration platform, which we have. You can start using it right now. Collaborative planning, work assignment, documentation, notification, but also how can we build this ecosystem that it's not only a Lean last planner single point solution, but we're also integrating it with building information modeling by end of this year, and also Bosch as being one of the global IoT companies globally. We also going to have sensors on the assets on the job site to get real-time data through IoT, also connected to RefinemySite to be this ecosystem of Lean, BIM, and Internet of Things as well. This is how people are using this. Is a real picture of a foreman on a job site checking the schedule over here. So you can use it on the job site. You can also print it. There's an option where you can print your schedule, the plan as well, and post it, plot it on the job site. Also, you remember those pictures of the big room with all the sticky notes. This is exactly the same meeting that they're having here, the daily huddle meetings. And the foreman team, instead of they bring their iPhones, they bring their tablets or desktops. She's the construction site manager for that project. It's a hospital expansion. They do their meetings as if from my side, so they can see the schedule. They are connected into the project, real-time data happening, and collaboration happens all the time. You don't have access to the data anywhere, right? It's digital. And sometimes because of COVID as well, or if you're working on projects with multiple people working from different places, you could be connected on RefinemySite on the same project that I'm connected here in the US, and we're gonna see exactly the same thing. So sometimes remotely meetings happen, and they can see exactly the same project on the same time. So yeah, it works on touch screen as well. Make it super easy for your teams to check the overall plan and to do their work using RefinemySite as well, or even when they do their walkarounds on the job site. Also, it works perfectly. You can use it on an iPhone or Android system as well. It's a cloud-based, and you have access to the KPIs. KPIs meaning the key performance indicators. Mostly right now, we have the percent plan complete and the variances. You can see it not only for the overall project, but also by each trade as well. But each trade doesn't see the other trades. There's not a competition thing. There's a team accountability and commitment. You see the overall project. All right. Yeah, just to summarize why the benefits of Lean Ton really explained, but how can we make it even better, take a step further, is to go from implementing traditional lean into a digital lean. So the spreadsheets and the boards, it's hard to maintain, easy to lose information. Then you go to a single standard software where you're using all the ARIA data will be there. There's limited space for the task details. Of course, right here on the RefinemySite, you can also have unlimited space, but you can upload pictures as well. There is a space limitation on the job site with the boards and also the space of the room. And of course, doing digital, it works much easier. And also collaboration gets much higher because everyone has access to the platform anytime, anywhere, real time. So it's not only meeting-based updates, it's real time. People that are connected and using it, and which increases the transparency and gives more visibility to everyone. So yeah, just to finalize, we're gonna share this deck over here. You can contact me for Bosch RefinemySite. My information is here, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well, or check our website. And also you can reach out to Ton. Ton is, my opinion here, probably the best lean consultant, coach, lean coacher with over 2 decades experience on lean. So you can also reach out to Ton on Rising Terrain. And we're here to support. So let's jump into the live demo of RefinemySite. We're gonna open here Tom will be connected and sharing his screen. Also be connected on my end over here. And we're gonna show it to you. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, so what you're seeing is the opening screen with a dashboard with all the different projects. I have some that I'm coaching, but also some that are just demonstration. And we'll look at one of those. Also I'll try to answer some questions, or Rafa can as well, that comes up. So I see one here about the experience with the last planner system. And it's a good question about, weakening the traditional power of engineers in construction, because workers, technicians, and foremen have equal right to speak on activities in the schedule. I think it actually strengthens your ability because it changes, though, instead of being the person that's trying to focus everybody's work, you're getting the input from all these other people. It does mean you're having to develop coordination and skills, and probably even better listening skills, but it actually makes you a better engineer to be able to work in this collaborative environment. And I think that ultimately increases your power to be a better manager. So I would, it's a shift, though. It's a mind shift, but it ultimately, I think, strengthens you. So it is a good question. I just clicked on one of the projects, and you see it opens up to a really simple dashboard, shows you the extent of how many tasks have been planned, how many are complete, still open, and in progress. There's this very easy to use menu that's always on the left side. And I'm gonna move through it really quickly, so I can't show you all the features, but what I can show you is how easy it is to navigate. And this is why you can easily invite foremen from your trade contractors in to use this application. It opens to a 6-week view, designed that way because that's the traditional look-ahead process is for 6 weeks. And you can see it's organized in swim lanes. This is a swim lane. These swim lanes were, I picked them. I'm playing the role of a site manager or superintendent on this project. And so I went ahead and picked the swim lanes according to how the team theoretically would have pulled this work. What you happen to see here are different retail stores. What we've done is we've simulated the pull for one of these areas, but then because they're repetitive, I went ahead and simply copied all of these tasks in one swim lane and then replicated them in other swim lanes as well. So I'll probably be able to show that to you quickly. I really want to just open up some of these weeks. The 6-week view is very important because it's part of your make ready process, and you'd go in the 6th week and you confirm that things are ready to work. And for example, this is this point of sale IT installation work. Let's just say we had a constraint on that. I would be able to click on that task and open up this side panel and indicate what that type of constraint there was. You would still need to have a constraint log somewhere, but if I could say I needed some information from the client on what they wanted, and I was going to issue an RFI, I could at least check that. And by doing that, what it does is it highlights over here, you see an exclamation mark. It tells me that there's a constraint on that task. And so I can simply scroll down and understand what tasks might have a make ready issue. And if they're coming up in week 3 or 2, I know that that's pretty serious. So visibility as to issues is extremely important, and RefinemySite accommodates that.
I think I'm not sure that just to show, if you click on a task, you can see the task detail page as well very quickly.
Yeah, so I'm going to, each task does have a detail page. You know, there's some summary information here, but what's really important is that you can identify particular issues, can add photographs and plans here, and you can even use this for daily reports if you'd like the foreman on the trades to have a daily report for each task that they're doing. You could have your safety, your preliminary hazard analysis could actually be attached to this as well. So what that does is it lets you keep information all in one place. This little toggle switch, that indicates there's a critical issue, something that's important to be addressed. And so for anything you add, you could decide to put that or not. But, you know, very simple to add topics here. And, you know, you can mark that critical or not. Again, real quickly to show you, there's also just a running record of all the operations that happen to that particular task. Just going to go back to the calendar view, because one of the innovations here that's really, I think, very helpful is this idea of day cards. So you can see that this task, in fact, if I go here, it's planned for February 1st through February 3rd. And it's the painter. Each of these tasks are color coded by trade, and those are colors you can select. You know, and so you can see here, you know, for those 3 days, the foreman is able to be very clear and specific about what they expect to do in each of those days. And what they're really doing is they're doing their weekly commitment plan, but they're being very specific as to what's happening every day. And so if I open up, say, future weeks, the way I would coach it is I wouldn't necessarily, you can see there's been some planning here in this future weeks, but I wouldn't necessarily encourage or coach teams to do their daily commitments that far in advance, because things can shift, and we need to be aware of that. But your commitments for next week, you know, at this time of week, if you're getting ready for, say, a Thursday or Friday weekly coordination meeting, you would have the foreman each put in their plan for the day, so everybody independently can work on the cloud-based system and enter their commitments for the week.
Yeah, just to mention that the task, if I'm a painter trade, I will not be able to create day cards or be detailed on someone else's task. So I will be only able to work on the tasks that were assigned to myself as a trade as well.
Yeah. And I'll show you why that is very helpful, the day cards. The day cards are, if you're familiar with Last Planner and you're using % Plan Complete, the day cards are what you update on the daily huddle. So you have that end of day huddle or the next morning huddle, and you go through the commitments for the day and you say, was this complete as planned? So this second coat of taping in retail area F, you know, at the end of today, you could go through and, you know, the foreman could say, yes, I completed it. The foreman would make they would acknowledge completion. It would actually be the site superintendent that would finally approve it. And since that's my status, the approve button comes up right away. But by clicking on that, you see there's a green mark there. You know, if I click on another one and it wasn't complete, so let's just say the restroom toilets were not installed as planned that day, I click on that, and I'm also prompted to put in the category of variance. So let's just say that, you know, a person called in sick, or I had to shift a person to another task. And so I didn't have the people necessary. I could simply indicate that there was a shortage of, a worker shortage, a shortage of manpower.
Yeah, and Ton, just to tell here, I mean, Tony is in Boston, I'm here in Chicago, but we're working on the same project. I just updated here because I'm responsible to install the laminated floors.
Yeah.
Today, I already put it over here that I couldn't make it, and you, Ton, received a notification here as a site manager that I couldn't make it.
Yeah. So yeah, this is what, you know, up here. I was notified that someone made a update to the project, and I can look at these and I can see all the updates that were made to this project, and I can decide if there's something that I need to investigate or if this was just an update that is perfectly appropriate. And to show you where this is really helpful, if you've used Last Planner and gone through the arduous task of calculating percent plan complete, in this KPI window, the percent plan complete is calculated for you. So it comes up in the last 4 weeks, but you can also look at the last 12 weeks, and you can see here's my percent plan complete. And I can actually go to any particular week and hover over it, and I can see it was 80% that week. There were 4 tasks that were not, you know, 4 day cards really that were not done as planned. So by evaluating day cards, it gives you a lot of rich data. And it also lets you, as a site superintendent, see the percent plan complete for each of the different trades on the project as well. Any given trade will only see their percent plan complete information. But if you're a site manager, construction manager, you're going to want to be able to see, you know, where you can be effective in terms of improvements and so forth.
Right.
You know, and the other thing that's automatically calculated is your categories of variances. And so this shows you, it color codes each of the variances, and you have a few different views of them. This group, this grouped bar, you know, I can see here, change priority of customer seems to be coming up as an issue. And I might want to evaluate that and see where I can make improvements if that's been an issue holding up work. You also have the line chart too, and any one of these charts you can select one or more individual items if you just want to see the trend. So I can see this issue of change priority of a customer. It was a little bit of an issue 10 weeks ago. It wasn't an issue up until a couple weeks ago. And so I can decide, you know, in terms of my continuous improvement effort, where I want to make improvements.
Yeah, I think there are many more features where we'd like to show. Because of matter of timing today, we won't have time to go through everything. But if you like, if you're interested on more information, we're happy to have a one-on-one meeting with you. So working areas, the swim lanes you can define, you can add some quickly here, the trades as we have, or the crafts as we called, easy to add as well. You can choose the color. Those are the working areas. You can move them around as your project progresses. You can move them around.
May I ask a question, Rafael?
Yes.
How could you add the logistic part to the RefinemySite? Is it any feature for that? The site logistic and that kind of thing.
Or what specifically you mean?
I mean, there are lots of incoming parts for the construction site.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to actually track materials, deliveries for that, you can create tasks for that. So you would, going back to the calendar view, let's just say for, let's come down here, this, this roof deck lounge on here, the plan is finishing, but let's just say there's a furniture delivery for that, for example, coming the, March 3rd, I can add a task for that. And
it doesn't track specifically connected through logistics to see when it's going to be delivered. The system doesn't do it. It's really focused on the weekly planning last planner system right now. It will in the future once we have connected with IoT. That's all happening in 2022. But right now, as Ton is showing to you, you can create a task where we need to have, and we need also to track the logistics here. In this case, the furniture delivered for that swim lane or for that working area or zone.
Yeah. We are pointing it to the constraint log. We are doing the last planner system manually. So we are putting the constraint log to that item. We are following this from the constraint log in the manual last planner system, LPS.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another way people track material is it's if it's a commitment on a constraint log. In Last Planner, really, you have two places, where ideally there are really only two places where a commitment might be. It can be on the plan, right? It's represented by these taskbars, or it could be on a commitment log, or a constraint log is essentially a commitment log. I want to make sure we answer questions too as we go. So, because there's a good question about buy-in. When facing disrespectful people, that is a challenge. I'm not sure if I have a good answer for that. I guess it's to find out, is it truly disrespect or what's going on? And, sometimes you can feel, and some people have even said this, you feel like you could be a psychologist if you're a project manager on a project and you're working with people, because it's really is a people business, what we do. I mean, the fact that we're working with concrete and steel and wood, and I mean, makes it seem like it's about materials, but it's really about people. When you think about the sheer number of people, and that issue of creating respect. Sometimes you can win people over by showing that respect, but you also need to understand that they have to understand that they're responsible to be part of the team. And and being disrespectful by wanting to stand out or not make commitments, that's a challenge. And sometimes you feel stuck with those people. So I wish I had a better answer for you, Sela. I really do, because it's one of the more challenging questions, and one of the reasons why a lot of owners ideally will hire a company like Turner, because they know the kind of people Turner hire are going to be people that are players that are, they're collegial, they're collaborative, and they want to really support the best interests of the project.
Yeah.
But it can be a challenge because sometimes you can get another contractor involved that doesn't play that way. Can the tasks be related to each other? That's an upcoming feature in terms of the task dependencies. So right now you don't see that on the screen, but Rafael, when is that being released?
That's so the first feature that we're showing right now will be the milestones feature that will be included on the calendar. Once we have the milestones done, that will be by February, March, and then we believe still around April, May latest, we're gonna have the dependencies also included. So you're gonna see, you create a milestone. It can be a client milestone, it can be a craft milestone. And then also once you create a milestone, you start seeing the dependencies between the tasks, and then you see, so this is definitely Q1, Q2.
That's coming up in a few months. And then what the program will do, though, the application will highlight the series of tasks that are at risk if you have a delay. Because really, you don't want to automatically extend the end of the project. You want to work as a team to see what adjustments you can get to get back on track. Which I think is the right approach, because you don't want computers making planning decisions for you. You want the team to make those decisions. You want the system to highlight and just show you where you're at risk of not being able to be on plan. So that's what having the constraints show up as markers does that. Having having something having the dependencies ultimately show you, what milestones might be at risk, is a way to do that as well. But always in the last planner system, you're trying to see how quickly can I get back to plan.
Correct.
And then there's this question, is there a formula implemented into the software so we can monitor when a task will be completed, considering the daily progress against the cumulative task? There's not that kind of formula. You know, and I think the intention there again is right, because this is really,
Correct.
it's not trying to automate conversations. It's trying to automate a lot of administrative work, and it does that really well. You know, people only put information into this once. If you're using spreadsheets, you know, oftentimes there's multiple steps to get to a consolidated work plan for the team.
But also, Ton, once we have the milestones implemented, there will be other KPIs which will be able to track to see the progress of the task or project as well. Yeah. So there will be other different indicators as well that you're going to be able to see.
Yeah. So ideally, if you have a task, whether it's 2 days long or 8 days long, your foreman or last planner is able to understand, once that task is coming up in the next week, day by day, how that work should unfold. And then so the daily huddle, you know, will give you an early indication as to whether or not that task is at risk. But that judgment should be done as part of the daily huddle process. It really is best in human hands to be doing that. That's my opinion on that. This next question about what is the bottleneck to companies for transformation to lean technology? That's interesting, because because we see some companies that are sort of really open to this right away. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of companies actually are.
I think most of them, yeah.
I think the bottleneck is more the concern about a learning curve and the concern about the cost of investment. So, you know, the learning curve, I can tell you on this is it's quick. If you've used Last Planner system in particular, this is very intuitive.
But the fundamental needs to be the Last Planner system. The fundamental needs to be the lean. Yeah. So the RefinemySite rises in the fundamental of lean and the Last Planner system. So your culture is now your construction culture, the Bosch culture. It turns to the lean construction. So after that, you start to RefinemySite, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So it start like you didn't start with the RefinemySite.
That's true.
The thing is, these things are beautiful. It's a lot, and there are lots of people in this Webiner didn't do anything about the Last Planner system. So these looks like a little bit like a space thing, you know. It seems a lot. The people in Turkey just trying to bring people in to one place to solve the problems on the production line.
Correct.
So this is great, but it takes a lot of effort to come up to that point.
I think we had some pro customers as well here, which they were on their starting phase or journey of the lean journey, and they already implemented RefinemySite as well. So, which they can learn about lean and Last Planner, try it, but also immediately they're starting together with that, also with the software as well.
Do you have a training program for the people who work in Bosch construction?
Not specifically on lean and Last Planner. We train everyone that's going to be using Bosch RefinemySite. You can do it on online training, how to use it. We have a series of videos and tutorials how to use RefinemySite, which is available online. But it's specifically if you're looking for to train and coach teams related to lean and Last Planner, I would recommend definitely that's a coach, a lean coach to do, like Ton, for example. Ton is here. Ton, if you're available to travel to Turkey, that will be you can coach.
COVID will end at some point, so
you can coach the team. But yeah, for lean specifically training, a lean coach, a lean consultant is the right path. we train on how to use RefinemySite, on how to use the last planner system digital.
And the next question is to Tom, and like you're consulting to the construction projects. When you go to the construction project, what is your start point on that project? How did you start? How do you start?
So I can tell you the ideal. It sometimes happens a little later, but the ideal is we start with developing with some of the leadership teams on that project, this idea of being a shared leadership team. So we have some team building culture work that we do that really helps people focus on what impact they're going to make personally in this project and why it might be personally important to them, because that helps them prepare them for and be motivated and have ambition for using the lean practices. We find that when people can get excited about why they're there and why they're part of a project team, and in an environment where they get to know each other in a more personal sense too, they come together as a team more quickly, and then they adapt the lean practices. So this team building is a starting point. And for a lot of teams too, we spend some time in what, just basically trying to teach them the basic lean fundamentals. So last planner system, there are some simulations we've used with that. But, give people a working vocabulary. And then the coaching is really, assisting them in the initial pull planning, but doing it in a way so that if, they eventually learn to do that without a coach, assisting them in some of the weekly coordination meetings, but then, doing it in a way that they don't need a coach. And then, long term, if they still want me there, then I'm usually participating in meetings and finding ways to try to stretch their capabilities. And that's fun when I get to do that. For example, that I showed the tack time diagram for that Turner project in Cleveland. I was with them. They had been working on that project for, I think, still 2 years. So I was still trying to throw out ways they could improve, which was hard because they were probably one of the best teams I've ever coached. They may be the best team I've ever coached. Well, real close anyway. But they were really good. And so it was a real stretch to try to find ways to improve. But that's what a coach does, right? It tries to just throw out and raise the bar higher and higher. And good teams want that. So that sort of sums up my coaching approach.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's been an hour. Let's take one more question.
Mm-hmm.
You choose, Tom, whichever you want to.
Well, I see I don't want to ignore any of these, but I see the one about machine learning algorithms. I don't think so. I know that the folks there are really smart, and maybe we'll get to that, but the intent is to keep this application accessible to everybody. So it's very easy to learn and use, and everybody on the project uses it and has visibility.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a good question for Stefan, who's the program developer.
Yeah.
For the RefinemySite, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And one more. Is that a licensed software? What about the language choices?
You mean the language? You mean?
Yeah, language. Yeah.
Yeah, you can use it RefinemySite in Spanish, Portuguese, German, French, not yet Turkish, but we're working on it as well. But you can choose those 5 different languages to use RefinemySite. And independently, if I'm a user and for me, Spanish, Portuguese will be easier, and Tony is working on the same project as I am, for him, English will be his language. But I see myself everything on my preferred language over here. And I coaching as well and having supporting teams in other countries like Mexico, for example, and for them, we show and they use it too in Spanish. And some people here in the US, some trade partners, they prefer to use it in Spanish, but the site manager, project manager.
You are working outside.
Excuse me?
So you are working outside
we've been working mostly with here, as I'm based in Chicago, we're working with Canada, United States, Mexico. We do have some customers as well, also in Central America and Latin America, but we have the global team based in Germany, which that's where the headquarters and the developers and the product owner team is based in Stuttgart in Germany. Yeah, but yeah, product is available to many countries already, specifically Turkey. We need to check, but yes, it is available.
Okay.
Yes, great.
Thanks. It's been an hour, and I don't want to take too much time of you. If you want to say last words, let us hear.
Yeah, I want to say Tesek Kur Ederum. Thank you very much, everyone, for having us here. You can reach out to us on LinkedIn, email. You can share. We can share the presentation. So reach out on email, LinkedIn, anywhere. We're here to support, regardless if you're where you're located. Tony and I will be happy to set up a time with you. If you have more questions, just feel free to reach us out. And thank you, Turner, really for doing it. This is incredible. That's a great step ahead on implementing Lean, last learning system. And thank you. I really appreciate it and very grateful for you all.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the time today. And yeah, I'm sorry we didn't get to every question, but if you want to send those questions to us and any questions you have, after today, we'll be happy to address them. So thank you.
Yes.
Thanks a lot. It's great to hear. It's great to see you here and talk about all these things, the amazing things that you're doing. And thank you for being with us today.
It was a pleasure.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Good evening.